Thank you. It's a great honor to be with you. I want to start out by recognizing what all of you have done to provide Americans of all backgrounds, particularly low income, low wealth Americans, with access to justice. I know with the pandemic, your efforts to go online and to provide services to those who did not have them. It's one thing to have a constitution with formal rights. It's another thing to have those rights be in actuality. And all of your lawyers have really, in my view, embodied the best of what it means to be in the legal profession, what everyone grows up dreaming about in terms of being a lawyer, and that is a vindication of rights and a vindication of rights for those who need them, their rights protected the most. So thank you genuinely for what you do. It's not on the front pages of the newspapers, and it's not always the most compensated, but it is a hallmark of the best of our democracy. Well, let me just say this about equity. I think a lot of your past speakers have made important points about access and making sure we have broadband and making sure we have equal technology capability. But for me, it's something much deeper and broader. In my district, there's $11 trillion of market cap. I mean, to put that in perspective, Russia's GDP is $1.6 trillion. And the obviously GDP and market cap aren't equivalent, but it just puts something in perspective. $11 trillion market cap in my district and surrounding areas. And young people are very optimistic about America's future because they think the world's their oyster. When we think about rights, we have to think not just about procedural justice, but we have to think about what the philosopher Michael Sandel calls contributory justice. In other words, justice, yes, justice is about rights. It's about both negative and positive rights. The negative right to be free from government overreach, the positive right to have healthcare, to have education, to have nutrition. And a lot of our work in politics is often focused on what is a just society's rights. Of course, most famously in theory of justice were the rights of liberty of office seekers and the rights of the least well off and the primary goods, the material benefits that they need. And that's why I support healthcare for all, Medicare for all, nutrition for all. But what we miss, I think, is that people have a deeper need to be in a just society. And that is that they also want to feel the ability to contribute. And for too many Americans in our country who have witnessed deindustrialization, the decimation of rural towns, the flight of jobs, both from inner cities, as William Julius Wilson details in Truly Disadvantaged in the 1980s, and Deaton and Case detail in rural America, they have feelings that they've lost the sense of the ability to contribute. Our president talks about dignity, the ability to actually not just have the rights of education and healthcare and nutrition, which are so important, but to be able to have meaningful work to make a contribution to the community. And I think all of us have to figure out and think about what does that mean in a modern economy? How is it that we can create the opportunities for people to contribute and have meaning in their communities at a time of extraordinary displacement? Let me end with 2 points, which I think are so important. Paul Krugman writes about how, well, we have redistribution in this country. I mean, a lot of the rich states, the states pay, and like in my state in California, and the money goes to places where unemployment is high. And he talks about how some of the money goes to places like Kentucky and others. And why is it that there's so much discontent if there is some of that redistribution already taking place? And I think if you read Arlie Hochschild's Strangers in Their Own Land, I think is one answer, because it's not sufficient to have the redistribution post-production in an economy. People want meaningful work. They want to be productive. They want more than just benefits. And we have to have the imagination to figure out how do we bring good paying, meaningful jobs, economic growth and opportunity in places that have been left out. To me, that is one of the central challenges for our country. And all the good work you do in upholding rights and fighting for people's rights is essential for that, but not sufficient unless we have the imagination to think about how we're going to create these jobs in places without asking people to move. And a lot of my work in Congress is dedicated to that. So thank you for all you're doing, and I look forward to working with you in the years ahead.